Welcome everyone. My name is Tuba. I'm the Programmes Manager at Embercombe. And for those who don't know Embercombe is a 50-acre valley at the edge of Dartmoor. And here we do rewilding, and also we run programs that help people to connect with themselves, with each other and with nature. So today I am with the Catalyst facilitators. We're delighted to be with them. And during this webinar, we will talk about the Catalyst. We will hear from each and every facilitator to get to know them a bit more. And now we also got Brad, maybe another person from the last year's cohort, just to share their experience. And at the end, there will be time for any questions. But you can also put your questions in the chat if you wish to, and we will get them answered by the end of the session. So, with that, I'm going to invite Tony to introduce himself.
Thank you, Tuba. Hi, everybody. My name's Tony Cealy, and I'm a creative artist, cultural practitioner. I sort of work with lots of communities, young people, adults, and older people on exploring things that are done through a creative lens. So that might be making performances. It might mean exploring issues with them that they are facing difficulty or uncertainty, and it's all done really through creative methods. So often that means working with people to find their own solutions that they are facing. And yeah, I really look forward to sharing skills and knowledge around creativity.
Thank you, Tony. Israh.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, my name's Israh, and I'm an expedition leader, I'm a midwife, and I'm a rites of passage guide. And I've been sort of working particularly with youth, sort of transformative experiences for over about 15 years. I've had the opportunity to work a lot around the world. And I think the thing that I would say that I'm most passionate is about supporting people at times of change, as they sort of stepping away, ready to let go of parts of the way they've lived and to really own and welcome in the life that they are wanting to walk into. And that's been particularly around rites of passage and understanding that we all go through big changes in our lives, and that often by providing space around these changes to support and inspire and encourage you, you will step more consciously and confidently into the next part of your life. And I think a lot of my work is deeply embedded and connected in nature, and nature as a mirror, as a guide and a support for us. And I think also I come from a lens of believing that it's not about fixing, but about trying to reveal the gifts that we have inside of us and welcome that in how we live our lives and how we want to bring ourselves into the world. So yeah, really excited for another year and to meet a whole new cohort.
Thank you, Israh. And Xanthe.
Yeah, hi there. I'm a Nature Connection facilitator, which is really a joyous thing for me because I get to spend loads of time in the woods, out in nature. I run ancestral skills groups, bushcraft groups, and yeah, I love nothing that I love more than sitting around a fire, sharing stories with people, listening to people, creating spaces where people feel included enough and safe enough to sort of risk putting their voices in and be heard, so that we can collectively hear our stories together and share, so that we can learn more about ourselves in that process, more about each other, so we can support each other moving on. And I have a really strong connection to the land at Embercombe, so I'm so excited for Catalyst to be running there again next year. I've been going for about 14 years. I used to take my kids who are now in their 20s. I've helped initially facilitating on a Lifebeat program that ran there initially, and then over the last 3 years I've been involved with facilitating more nature connection there. And yeah, there's a 30-acre broadleaf woodland And yeah, I'm really excited about that. And for me, the sort of connection, I sort of feel like everybody thinks, oh, nature connection, oh, I'm nature connected already, but there's something very different about really slowing down and being on the land and listening to our bodies, listening to how we are reflecting on where we've been in our lives, where we're wanting to move to, and being part of the landscape in a different way. So I'm really enjoying looking forward to welcoming everybody to experience that in such a special place where the land holds so much of the part of the experience, as much as the facilitation team and everybody who's involved in it. The land itself really holds a very special part in the program.
Thank you, Xanthe. Now I will invite Brad, who did the Catalyst last year, or this year actually. It was this last summer. Brad, how was the experience for you? Thanks for being here.
Hi. Yeah, it was incredible just hearing all the facilitators talk. It brings so much back. I think if I could summarize it, like the one thing that I took from Embercombe and the Catalyst is that I am worthy of deep connection with other people and with the world around us and with everything. And that I care about that a lot as well. Yeah. I think what Xanthe was saying was really true for me about this listening through all the different rituals and sort of activities and sessions that we had. A big theme that ran throughout for me was this listening of just coming back to, wait, what is my truth in this moment? And that can change from moment to moment to moment to moment, and that's okay as well. And to embrace that. Yeah, I felt super held in the space as well, but not as though you guys were trying to fix us or that anything needed to happen, but that what was going to happen was going to happen. And that if I did want some guidance on, yeah, the phenomenal sensations and experiences that I had, that it was there from people who were living, really lived life, who had walked the walk. So that was pretty spectacular as well. The whole setup at Embercombe is incredible. It's hard to say without going into the details of it, because I think also the mystery is so much of the power of it as well. But I guess what it's done for me since it empowered me to make some huge life decisions, to leave university. But that's not to say that that will happen to everyone or that that's right for you. Don't want to scare anyone, but it was right for me. And rituals as well. That's another thing that's come up for me on reflection, is like, I do a lot of little things with just friends now, just random times. Like, I was walking through a woodland at home with a friend, and it's great to be out in nature, and you come back and you're like, oh yeah, I really needed that. But there were all these yew trees at home. I didn't even know what a yew tree was a year ago, and they were lined up in these like 2 rows, and then it came to this like landing, and there were even more. And it was in this place that I'd walked by so many times before, and we just took this moment to like get this yew tree leaf, and we just sang to it. We had a little ceremony, and it's like, yeah, going back to what I said at first, that yeah, we're worthy of taking this time out to get conscious for a minute. Yeah. I think that's my testimony.
Thank you so much. I actually like listening to you, also listening everyone. I also felt a bit nostalgic and remembering the time at Embercombe, and I remember the team at Embercombe were like so rejoiced as well, because the energy was so strong from the group. Good times. Okay, let's talk about the program now a bit more. So Israh, if I can invite you to tell us what this program is about and why do you think it is important to run it?
Oh, just thank you, Brad. I know you've gone away there, your video's off, but yeah, so eloquently put. So much better than I could do, I'm sure, right now. So yeah, the Catalyst, 18 to 25-year-olds, welcoming all young people who feel ready to wanting to meet themselves at this point in your life in a way, in a different way, in a way that, as Brad put, kind of giving this spaciousness, this listening around the place that you've found yourself in, and to get curious, like, how am I doing? Like, what is it that is kind of niggling in me? And do I have a sense of how I want to be in the world? And know that you will be supported on this kind of deep week immersion to really be with those kind of inquiries, those questions. Who am I? What are my gifts? What kind of gets in my way? Like, how do I want to turn up in the world? So yeah, we've kind of created this program with all of our experience and the extraordinary land and the history of Embercombe to meet you, to support you, to challenge you, to help you kind of get a sense of your edge, your aliveness of like, oh, actually, this really matters to me. As you know, again, Brad put, he discovered that sense of like, actually, it's not just about feeling your worth, but really recognizing I want that and I deserve that in my life. I understand now what that gives me. And walking with it, finding a way to make it practical beyond the program, so leaving with a greater sense of, who you are, and like more of the tools and the understanding of how to bring that into your life on your return. So yeah, I could say much more, but I don't want to say too much because I want Tony and Xanthe to also share, but I'm sure I'll add in my voice throughout as well, and really happy to answer questions as well at the end if there are any.
Great, thank you so much, Israh. So I'm going to invite Tony, and I'm going to ask, who is this program for and what people can expect?
Well, who's it for? I think it's really for those in that kind of age range of kind of 18 to 25 who want to explore, discover, who are curious about themselves and what's going on for themselves in the here and now and where they're at. I think it's for people who want to kind of get a sense of maybe a direction. It's for people who want a bit of a challenge. It's for people who want to build community and friendship and long-lasting relationships. I think it's a place where people can kind of be by themselves and be in their own space and not feel that they have to be with others, but there is others there willing to be with you should that be what you need. So I think it's a program that really enables young people who are perhaps, really confident and know the direction in they're heading, but want something different, or people who are not really sure where they're going or what's going on for them and where they're at with their current life, but they're looking for something that might give them that spark, that insight, that motivation. Yeah, so I think really it's an opportunity for you to really look kind of as much as you want to, and there's no pressure to look inwards about self, who you are, what are you, what motivates you, what you care about, what you want, what you need. I think it's also about the community that we're in. The land is just vast, and it's a jungle, and it's a playground, and it's joyful, and it's a bit scary, and it's got this and that things that you kind of don't know. It's got everything that you probably want to explore, and it's just big. So there is something about the place and the space and the land, but also all of that gives you a kind of perspective of you and your own community, your own neighborhood, your own sense of the wider world. And certainly when you come out of this process of the week, you can kind of join up the dots to where you fit in and how you see yourself in the world. So what to kind of really expect that one could be invited to participate in. And I think that's really down to yourself. But for me, I would say that you could expect to build companionship, friendship, you build a sense of community. You can expect to be taken from your own comfort kind of zone and invited to lean into that stretch area, whatever that means for you. I think it's an opportunity to expect yourself going through really great conversations over the most amazing, banging, natural food that I haven't tasted for the longest while. Trust me, and there's always seconds. So definitely, food is definitely part of it. But also, you know, from my perspective, and I'm quite selfish about this, but there is a sense of really diving into creative activities that enable you to kind of express yourself in ways that you want to, in your own way of expressing that kind of creative self that you have. It's a chance to bond and build and share and really be creative, reimagine. And really at the heart of it, I think it helps you to kind of, all of what I suppose we do is it's all leading up to this experience where you will be able to be by yourself and experience what that is, and be able to kind of share that experience with others who connect, relate, or identify what you've been through. So yeah, it's for people who really want to kind of go through a wonderful week of different experiences. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Tony. I always feel as well, like sometimes it's like those people who already like, oh, there's something, curiosity, and like, yeah, come. And if you're like a person who is like, oh, I'm not sure, come. I think that's also a good sign. Good. Okay, my next question, if I pose that to you, Xanthe, it is, what will people get out of this program? I know Tony and Israh also, you know, touch on this, but it would be nice to hear from you as well.
Yes, I suppose they've covered so many really important aspects. I think sort of developing community over the time. Obviously, when you first come to a program and you don't know anybody there, it's such a journey, it's such a part of the whole process. So by the time of leaving, at the end, there's definitely a developed sense of community, because there's such a, although in a way it's also a sort of personal journey as you go through. You're looking at, you know, there's moments and sessions, activities, times to reflect on your past, where you are, where your values are, where you're going in life. But that's all done in a community. It's all done in a sort of space where there's always the invitation to step in and meet your edge a little bit wherever you feel safe to do so. There's such a feeling of inclusion during that whole process, that there is a big sense of community that develops over that time. And developing listening skills, I suppose, as well as being the edge to speak when people speak all together within that group, then there's such growth and learning that we can all learn. The facilitators learn from you, as well as, you know, we all learn together. It's a big sort of cauldron pot of how we can share and develop and learn and explore our own experiences. Who are we in every moment? What do we need to do to care for ourselves? What resources do we already have in our own lives as well as in the space? So I suppose within the space it's hugely resourced and hugely supported. As Tony said, the food's amazing, the land's amazing, there's all of that. And there's lots of different activities and sessions that are led to sort of help us drop into that. But there's also very much a building of a sense of how we're already resourced, what can resource us in future, so that when you're leaving, there's very much a sense of sort of that you have your purpose, where you're wanting to lead your life, the sort of clearer direction about that, and also knowing where you can drop in, what you need to do to care for yourself, how you can support each other as the Catalyst cohort that you've created, and in a wider group, your sort of friends, family, whatever your network is for you going on. There's also quite a lot about, embodiment, coming into your body, stepping into playing games again. I feel like we all need to play so much more, and there are spaces for that, but not in the you're coming in expected that you have to play, but it's like the invitation to keep stepping into becoming a sort of more fuller self in your body, that you're more willing to play and come to your edge and know what you want to do and know what little risks you need to keep taking to get yourself a little step further and step further, so you grow into the person that you really want to be and have those skills that you can really move forward in the life in the direction that you choose to enable you to get there. Yeah, and within that there's the land itself plays a huge part, both in us being in the land by ourselves and together, and the experiences and the sort of learnings we gather, not only from ourselves sitting in nature, but also from the environment itself, what we can learn from the environment around us. Lovely to see you, Mani. Thanks for turning your camera on. Yeah,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Xanthe. I'm going to open the space for questions. Bye, Brad. Thank you so much for coming by and sharing your experience. Safe travels.
Yeah.
Before I open the floor to any question, is there anything else that wants to be said from the facilitators?
No, I'm trusting it will come out in the questions, so looking forward to the questions.
Great. Sophie.
So the questions that I have is that basically would it help you to build up your confidence and things like that as well? Because I've had a few rejections and things in the past for my jobs and things like that because of my confidence. So and also, so as you say, they help you to discover about also the organic food. Can you have different food, or is it definitely just organic, that you have to strictly eat? If you've got dietary requirements, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to try and answer the first, if and then Tony and Xanthe or Tugba, please drop in if Sophie, thank you for bringing that question, and it's a question I'm sure that's shared by many. It's a difficult thing as we're trying to step out in the world and trying to find and navigate our way, and these things don't always become just easily sort of dropped in our lap, and part of the challenges that you're facing, of course, is leading you to this, which is wanting to ask more questions around, actually, how do I build myself up? What is it that I'm going to lean on and rest on when maybe life sort of throws these challenges on me? And so, yeah, very, very, very much our focus is about wanting to grow that inner sense of self, a bigger space inside of you, so that when those experiences come, they sort of land in a different way in your body. And instead, you've kind of got a bigger sense of, okay, this is who I am, these are my values, this is what I'm striving for, and looking at then the experiences and the way they come in a slightly different way of okay, I'm taking this from this experience, I'm going to learn to let that go, maybe I'm going to find a way to do that, and now I've got this kind of drive to because I understand myself a bit more and I trust myself more, this isn't going to bump me so much. So very much I could see that week and spending that time really discovering more of who you are, what builds your confidence, what is it that you need to support that ongoing, will be very much a really powerful opportunity and an intention for the week. And of course, you'll be supported on that journey by us. Yeah, I'll stop before the food question, just in case Tony or Xanthe or Tugba want to say anything else to you, Sophie, as well.
I can't really speak too much about the food, apart from it is really delicious and nice, and I'm sure that they will be able to provide lots of different options, because there were times when I wasn't really just wanting to have one set of organic, natural, amazing food. There were other things that I could eat. So that's the only little bit I can kind of talk about in terms of the food. But in terms of confidence and self, I think because the week is structured where there is lots of different activities, I think it enables one to really, you know, look at yourself and find a way that there might be something that I find really, really playful here that I want to stretch myself and lean into more to build and develop this confidence or the thing that, you know, I need in my life. And I think that is often done through the range of different activities that we're providing for this week. And it gives that person a sense of growth and development in their own way and how they measure that. So I just want to simply just say, yeah, through the range of different activities that we invite you to participate in, I think often the sort of learning, the insights, the sense of self-worth and confidence grows within that, provided that you're willing to participate and give things a go and then reflect upon, you know, how could I have whatever, you know, differently. So yeah, there's as much support as you need in that from us, but also there's an invitation just to you to be yourself and to discover what that is for you in terms of how you might develop your own self-confidence and, you know, self-worth, etc.
Thank you, Tony.
I'd like to speak a little bit to that as well. I, you know, definitely feel like, as you know, Tony has sort of said, it's about where you're sort of stepping in, but there's such a, for me, there's such a huge place that the community of young people plays in that, of holding each other. The intention and what happens is the community develops so that everybody, all the participants, are then supporting each other. If everybody's taking those small risks in together at the same time and watching and witnessing each other, then there's so many different opportunities for stepping in, which definitely is a place for developing confidence and trying things out, but also in a really safely held environment where that feels really comfortable to do so. And then obviously it's how we can continue with that and how we resource ourselves to continue to make those changes and to keep stepping up and stepping into life with a sort of clearer vision of where we want to be. So it's continuing how we continue on after the programme as well as being in the programme. But yeah, very much it feels that the participants themselves support each other so much in developing themselves throughout the week, as well as what you bring, as well as what the facilitation team bring.
Thanks, Xanthe. Thank you all. I'll speak to the food bit because that is kind of my remit with my Embercombe hat. We try our best to accommodate dietary requirements. There's a conversation that happens beforehand, and the kitchen generally gets in touch if it is a very specific diet, and that can have a conversation. So it's definitely possible, but without knowing the details, I can't speak, you know, in detail or 100%, but we always try our best to accommodate needs so that everyone can join. Feel free to drop us an email. I will share the email address at the end of the call so we can discuss. Thank you so much, Sophie.
And
I have lots of...
Sorry, I also have a private question to ask one of you at the end, if that's okay. I don't know.
First. Yes, totally. Just
Maybe
stay
just
on
hold,
the call.
yeah, just hold on at the end. Just keep your video on
Yeah.
right to the end.
Thank you. I have some other questions from an email, but before that, I'm just wondering if there's anyone else who would like to ask a question on the call. Yes, Paula. Hi, welcome. Nice to see you.
Oh,
You're
a bit
muted.
Yeah, muted.
Let me unmute.
Still muted.
Unmute.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
There you
Yeah,
are.
I couldn't find the hand sign. Hi, yeah, I was just thinking about the catalyst for various young people that I know, and just a couple of questions I wanted to ask is it appropriate for people who know each other to come on the same programme? That was number one. And number two, if people are timid or scared of certain things, I know Tony and you were all talking about, you know, building up your confidence bit by bit. Do people have the you know, are they able to hold back from an activity if they've reached their edge?
I'm happy to jump in, but I started before. Just want to check in with Tony and Xanthe, Tugba. Are you happy?
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you, Paula, and thank you so much for being here for those young ones that are in your life. How wonderful. So my experience, I would say I'll start with the second. So every single thing is an invitation. And I would say that everyone will find their edge in different ways, you know, whether that is sitting alone out in nature, whether that's to be in a group of people, speaking, you know, eating different foods. These are the edges that, you know, where we come up against our stuff. And, you know, it is so vital that at the same time of learning all these different ways of opening oneself, we're also at the same time building that capacity and the self-belief to be like, actually, no, this is too much, or, you know, I need to take some time here. It's just as important, if not, you know, more important. It gives us the stuff of life to actually work with. So absolutely. And also to say that a lot of the practices, you know, are on their own, people on their own. There are times when they're in pairs. We have mentor groups where it's smaller groups. So there are definitely different kind of spaces of sharing. And yeah, in a way, if you're familiar with like the in and the out breath, there are times where it's very much like we're all together, and then times where it's, you know, on your own. And in a way, the practices also just really help to digest the experiences rather than just like pummeling loads of experiences at people, which could be too much, you know. And so yeah, there's a particular story that goes throughout the journey, which is there. And then in addition, each young person has a mentor throughout it. So there's a, you know, those kind of just slightly closer relationships are formed that can help with people who may be struggling a little bit, and spaces for them to share that. And the first question, I think, is a really good question, and one that I can give my experience to you running a lot of this kind of work with young people. You know, if I'm honest, ideally, I would say it really depends on the friendship and how connected they are. Because for some young people, I would say part of the opportunity is to go to a place where they don't have people who have preconceived ideas or perceptions of them that keep them in particular places. Because, you know, the opportunity of meeting others along the way who are all kind of at the same place-ish, you know, facing change, but they're not necessarily in their immediate community, has some benefits in the sense they get to be who they want to be, and they have opportunities to practice that and almost experiment with that. However, I've also been in groups with groups that I run where for some people it's the only way that they will come. And actually there has to be a kind of like, well, for that person, that's what's needed. That's their edge. That's them recognizing this is what I need in my life. I want that experience. I want to be challenged. I want to be on that transformative journey, but this is what I need to do it. And for those people, I say, come, because it's not going to be disastrous. It's going to be, they'll make it what they need to make it. And it's just, I suppose, so therefore there's not a definitive answer, but it's just curious about who the person is, what is their edge, what do they need to support them to actually take that step. And really, again, very happy to speak to the person, to you, you know, if that helps as well.
Well, I did the journey with Tugba in the summer, but I worked for forever with many young people, and so of course they're not a homogenous group, and so I was kind of wondering, you know, obviously everybody's different, and trying to really kind of get to the core of who would be okay on the catalyst, who wouldn't, who it would be good for, who it would be right for. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Paula, for the question and the answer, Israh. Can I check if there is anyone else from the room who would like to ask a question? And then I will pop in the chat the questions that we received in the email, and then I will respond to some of the logistical ones. And then rather than asking them individually, if you can pick up on it and then answer one or two at the same time, that would be great. Sophie, did you have another question? Your hand was up and down. I wasn't sure.
Oh yes, I recognize your name. I recognize your name, Tuba. It's a Turkish name, but you may not be
Yeah,
Turkish.
that's right. I am. Yeah, I
You
am
are
in Turkey
Turkish.
at the
Oh,
moment, actually. I'm visiting my mum.
yeah, my mum is Turkish. I'm half.
Uh,
Oh, wow. Okay. How interesting. Yeah, greetings from Turkey, I should have said. Okay, so we have some questions in the email. So I'm going to answer the first three. So we have bursary places, and they're 40% off the prices. And then we also have free places. So you can apply for these on the website, and a decision will be made next year. Last year we had 17 people on the program, but the maximum is 24. And we will see how many we will have this next year, but that is around that, I would say. And then the accommodation is really lovely, cozy, rustic yurt accommodation. You can see some photos on our website, and they are shared unless if person needs to stay on their own, and there can be an arrangement and maybe a surcharge, etc. that can be communicated via an email. But generally, we actually find it very helpful when people share accommodation as well, which turns into be a part of their experience. But yeah, if you have any other questions about practical, logistical, and site related, just let us know, drop us an email, and we will get back to you. So can I ask one of you or some of you to answer some of the other questions? So is the program suitable for people with physical or mental disabilities? What's the main thing that people get from this course? I guess we already covered that. Is it a safe space for people from the LGBTQ community and plus community?
Yeah, thank you for those questions. I think from my experience of being involved in a program like this and seeing the wide range of different kinds of people who have participated in it, I think there's something around trying to support people in what they need in that moment. And what I mean by that is to the extent that they feel unable, unwilling, or feel something is a challenge. I think it's that moment where we as facilitators really open up our ears to identify and really hear that person, to find out how can we best support you? What do you need in this moment in order to feel that you belong, that you are listened to and you are heard, and how might what we're doing here be improved from your point of view? So we try to listen and lean into that, and I think just personally, it's each case is different, not one size fits all. And so I feel that the place that a young person experiences is really down to them, but it feels to me that either we know how to work and support that person best, or we can learn that in that moment by what's coming up for that young person, for us to best support them in what they need. And yeah, our job is to be really attuned to that and to really listen to find out how we can collectively provide the best thing for you, for your care.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd
Thank
like
you, Tony. Yeah.
Thank you. My eldest is part of the LGBTQ community, and I would say very much yes, everybody is welcome, and diversity and inclusion is part of the sort of ethos of the whole of the Catalyst programme. That's really important value for us all, how we're all included, how we support each other. We're all very different people as it is, and we all bring so many different gifts. And when it comes to mental health, I suppose when you apply, there's a space and opportunity to speak about your mental health, and that's something that we can have a personal discussion with each person. So that could be decided between us and them on an individual basis. I suppose a lot of this is around mental health and how we support our own mental health. That's sort of part of the process and the journey as well. And within that, there can be people who are in crises with their mental health. So it's definitely something that it would be really valuable for us to be in conversation with you about before you arrive, so that we know that we're best able to support you and within the programme. And yeah, that would be a sort of personal discussion about whether you felt that it was right to be part of the group, considering where you are at the time. But I also think I definitely think it's hugely supportive of our own general mental health of everybody, being in community, listening to each other, the journey that we go on. Thank you.
Thank you, Xanthe. I would also say, as Xanthe, you said, even before signing up for the program, until that question comes, it will be just drop us a line and we can organize a call with one of us and just, make sure that we have that conversation beforehand. And I also want to respond to the physical side of things. I think from Embercombe point of view, it is important for me to mention, because we are a valley with the uneven surfaces, so walking around the land is not possible going around on a wheelchair. So there's access to the main building, but then accommodation is in the yurt villages also requires going down the hills on those uneven surfaces. So unfortunately, it is not the friendliest environment in that sense. But hopefully we will get there as well in the future. Anything from you, Israh?
I suppose just to answer that again with disability in terms of physical, if I would say please contact us, because it's hard to answer that one, and actually I would really want to do everything we can to think about how is that possible. When it was in lockdown and we were all in our homes, there were still ways in which to connect and to offer practices and support young people. And I believe that we can look at that situation and see what's possible. So I would just say, if anyone is listening to that with this as a concern, please be in contact with us first. And I think the other thing that I just wanted to share about this sort of understanding of diversity and us as human beings and what that means, I lean so much into nature, and we're constantly with that mirror of looking at the extraordinary differences and diversity that is out there all the time for us, out in the wild, out in nature, and sometimes we need to remember that, and to kind of remind us of what's the beauty of our differences and the kind of the interconnectedness, what calls us together, how can we see each other and witness each other in our differences, and also find that commonality. And to say that, there are spaces where we bring the kind of the good of the village, what wants to be talked about here, what wants to, it's not, I don't want to just kind of get the impression we've got these plans for you. There is a spaciousness and a listening that happens to kind of find out actually what's important to talk about here with this particular group and makeup of people, what's really going to serve these young people. So yeah, that's just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Israh. Okay, I think that is it. Thank you so much for joining. Hi.
Question. Hi.
Yes, of
I
course. Oh.
It might, like, I guess vary each day, but I'd be interested to know, like, kind of maybe what the days look like a little bit, and sort of a rough like outline of what maybe happens, but I know that probably varies.
Yeah, plus there's a lot of like mystery in there that we like to
Sure.
hold. But actually, no, of course we can explain a little bit. Every day there's particular, these kind of marking points of breakfast and lunch and dinner. And there is often like a morning circle where we gather and check in with each other, and we might do some movement, time out on the land, and then there's kind of like the chunk of the day doing different kind of activities, and it does really vary, and it's very much, we're sort of on this flow of just like building, releasing, challenging, digesting, and learning different tools, and we're sort of, I see them as like doorways out into like seeing the world in a different way, and at the same time having that right back at yourself. So that's varied. And then we're sort of building up as well to the end of the program, there being a sort of a marking, a challenge, an opportunity to mark this point of your life, and so we're kind of building up for that. And then at the end of that, we're sort of really like holding that experience and kind of looking at the return and how to support you in that. But there'll be time by the fire, in the evenings, time to be with each other, and times for play and games has been mentioned as well, and lots of time on the land. I hope, does that give a kind of a sense?
Yeah, great, thank you very much.
They can be long days. We do, it's an intensive. If we had our fairy wand, we'd probably make it a lot longer course, but they are full days, but we definitely try our best to kind of have spaciousness and time for digestion between it all.
That's lovely, great, thank you.
I just want to add to that. It feels important that we try to adapt and listen to the needs of the participants, in terms of, for example, if a participant feels that they need something that's missing, or something that they've done too much, we need to be really much aware of that, so we can adapt and be very flexible to ensure that going forward, the same experience isn't got from that person who's requesting something different. So we will tinker and tailor and adapt and adjust as we go along, but we need to know that information. Otherwise we're just assuming everything seems to be reasonably okay with people. And that's why I think those set structured things that Israh were talking about, particularly like those check-ins, the morning circle, or having time with your mentor, or having a one-to-one with somebody, all of that shared information enables us to be flexible with the program that we're trying to share with you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you both. Just there was one more question. I'm aware of time, so I'm just gonna ask if there is a succinct answer to this question, which is this program okay for people who aren't used to being in nature?
Yes, I'm glad that question came up. Oh my gosh. Yeah, my own experience is actually, which is really ironic, born and raised in Jamaica, but I've just been so used to the city and so much not in nature. And I think that is part of the joy and the challenge of being in a different place with others. There is so much, if you allow, and you don't have to, but there's something about really allowing yourself to breathe in this different space. And I think within that, there are many, many, many things that one can see, feel, touch, belong to, want to stay away from, not go close to, whatever. And I think within the whole week you find yourself sort of experiencing a range of things that, yeah, for a person who doesn't really like nature and doesn't want to be in the out in the open, there are other things to be attracted that you can find yourself in comfort with. It doesn't have to be everything. So there is going to be things that, yeah, maybe a little bit like, no, it's not for me, but there will be other things within that that you may feel attracted and even seduced by, because of the way that we've set up this week's experience for you. So yeah, I'll leave it there.
Thank you so much, Tony. I'm glad we didn't miss that question because I think it is a very important question. Okay, great. It's been really lovely to have you all and hear everybody, and really grateful for the questions and those who attended. Just want to put a few things in the chat. Please do email us if you have any further questions. You can go to our website to find more about the Catalyst. And also you will see there are different price brackets for it, as well as bursary places. And as I said, some free places that you can apply. It would be amazing if you can spread the word. It would be really nice for us to access many more people. So yeah, hope to see you there. And yeah, please do keep in touch, and yeah, have a good day.
Thank you so much, everybody. Really enjoyed the conversation.